It is my hope that as we commemorate Black History Month in the future, we will continue to celebrate the many achievements and rich culture of African Americans. History is a story like any other, but Black history is a story so devoid of logic that it frustrates the young reader. The young readers in my house, told of slavery and segregation, asked in disbelief, what, why? We, the parents of Black children, the parents of all children, still need to tell that story. Since I began presenting programs about Black history, my life has become a constant impromptu focus group. I am stopped in the street by people who want to talk about the histories those documentaries explore. Black history is part of American history, and it should be treated as such. As we celebrate Black History Month, we should be grateful for the achievements they made and inspired by their legacies to continue their work. There is an obsession with Black tragedy. If you see a Black movie, it's typically historical, and it tends to deal with our pain. And listen, there have been some excellent films made in that vein, and there are some painful parts of Black history that should be explored, but it is kind of weird that only those films bubble up to the surface. I went to school in the 70s and the 80s, and the last thing I expected of my schools back then was that they would be the places in which I would be taught about Black history. Black History Month is an annual opportunity to recognize the central role of African Americans in our state's economic, cultural, social and political history. Black history is a series of missing chapters from British history. I'm trying to put those bits back in. I'm a sponge for historical images of Black people and Black history on film. I performed in high school for Black History Month at a talent show, but besides that I didn't have the resources to perform, so I spent my time as a teenager writing music. Anyone can look to someone like Ruby Bridges and be inspired. We wanted to emphasize that this really is all of our history and that Black history shouldn't just be segmented into one month and we just move on. This is a huge part of the fabric of our country. If I have a daughter and she grows up to be an astronaut, she's gonna end up on a Black History Month stamp. In terms of school, we never got taught anything about Black history. Growing up, a lot of things are hidden away from you. What's so interesting is taking kind of all these horror tropes and really finding Black history and American history to layer on top of it. There was a manifesto in the late 60s/early 70s, and it basically laid out what Black art was and that it should embrace Black history and Black culture. There were all these rules. I was shocked, when I found it in a book, that it even existed, that it would demarcate these artists. During Black History Month, we not only should celebrate those who have made North Carolina a better place to live for everyone, but we should also acknowledge the deep sacrifices people made to get us to where we are now. History is so deep, especially Black history, so I have a lot to learn. If the only time you think of me as a scientist is during Black History Month, then I must not be doing my job as a scientist. Black history is American history. You cannot tell one story without telling the other. Every February, we reflect on and honor the achievements, struggles, and icons that comprise Black history. As a proud, Black man running for office and raising two young, Black boys in the South, I am acutely aware that I stand on the shoulders of giants. The Republican Party's history is rich and chock full of emancipation and Black history. People ask me why my figures have to be so Black. There are a lot of reasons. First, the Blackness is a rhetorical device. When we talk about ourselves as a people and as a culture, we talk about Black history, Black culture, Black music. That's the rhetorical position we occupy. I do consider myself part of Black history. For children, diversity needs to be real and not merely relegated to learning the names of the usual suspects during Black History Month or enjoying south-of-the-border cuisine on Cinco de Mayo. It means talking to and spending time with kids not like them so that they may discover those kids are in fact just like them. Black history in 2019 and beyond is all about inclusivity. Black History Month is fine, but we need more months of the year to celebrate all the people on this earth. After all, we're all creatures of the same God. If you only think of me during Black History Month, I must be failing as an educator and as an astrophysicist. Black history won't stop no bullets. I don't want a Black History Month. Black history is American history. Black excellence is a thing. People, from Beyoncé Knowles to Venus and Serena Williams to folks you haven't heard of, are into it. It's less a movement than a standard. Believers set the bar high not only for themselves but also for others who share their vision, especially when it pertains to Black history, stories, and style. Smart Funny and Black is basically a live black pop culture game show that I created. We have a live band. We have 2 contestants that we call the Blacksperts. They come on stage and compete in games that I've created that test their knowledge of black culture, black history, and the black experience. I mean, it's always good to document your history, 'cause for some strange reason black history has a tendency of getting lost. So I think it's beautiful to have the ability to document it. Both European and American historians have done away with any conceptual limits on what in the past needs and deserves investigating. The result, among other things, has been a flood of works on gender history, black history, and ethnic history of all kinds. Black History Month is a poignant time for the entire country, but particularly the African American community. Black History Month could focus less on slavery and civil rights and more on the Harlem Renaissance and everything we have achieved. I want to know about the whole black experience. All kids of all races need to understand, not just about black history but their own history. It's something that will help you in the future, just in terms of moving on in life, understanding the things your ancestors had to go through. I did a book in 1996, an overview of black history. In that process I became more aware of a lot of the black inventors of the 19th century. Black culture is pop culture, Black History Month is every month, and that's something they want us to forget. What better way to remember than to highlight all of our differences as a singular people across the globe? I went to white schools and I didn't know anything about black history. The thing about black history is that the truth is so much more complex than anything you could make up. Steven Spielberg's The Color Purple might as well have been about a bunch of dancing eggplants for all it has to say about black history. Black History Month must be more than just a month of remembrance. It should be a tribute to our history and reminder of the work that lies in the months and years ahead. To be honest, I think Black History Month, it's become much bigger than it used to be because a lot of people are doing different things with it. It's an American import, which hasn't always fitted exactly with what I would call British and Commonwealth history. If people perceive Roots to be a black history show, nobody is going to watch it. It's down to schools to educate children about their history, especially black history. I didn't learn black history in school. I had to go find Malcolm X books. I grew up watching people and companies commercialize Black History Month. I watched old McDonald's commercials, and they'd blacken up the commercials for 28 days then go back to normal in March. It got annoying to me. Through the years, Madam Walker has certainly become a staple of anything that has to do with black history, women's history, and entrepreneurship. During Black History Month, I'm reminded yet again of the ways that the struggle for civil rights is interwoven with the struggle for workers' rights. Visit our website for more quotes, quoting.com.